Back to today on BBC2 now, and at 6 o'clock there's Western Adventure in the High Chaparral. Phil Silvers tries his hand at babysitting and nappy changing at 6:50. Then at 7:15, a special edition of Ebony from Cardiff. My Music is at 7:45, followed by Time Watch at 8:10 with reports on Nelson, the Tories and the workers in the last century, and John Wycliffe, the 15th century theologian and philosopher. At 9:10, this week's play in the series Oxbridge Blues is The Muse, starring David Suchet as an acclaimed and successful author. On BBC One now, Tom and Barbara's evening classes become unusually productive in The Good Life. That's except for viewers in Wales and Scotland who have their own programmes. Whilst here on 2, the news summary now from Jenny Murray.
Good evening. The headlines today. The Education Secretary, Sir Keith Joseph, has told MPs he's restoring some of the cuts he wanted in student grants. Parents won't now have to pay tuition fees. In India, more bodies are still being discovered 2 days after the huge leak of poison gas. The death toll could now reach 2,000. And the Chief of Defence Staff in the Falklands War has defended the decision to attack the Belgrano. Now the details with subtitles. The Education Secretary has told MPs he's restoring some of the cuts he made on student grants. Parents won't now be expected to contribute to tuition fees. It'll cost the government £21 million, but the minimum grant will still be abolished and better-off parents will still pay more. The opposition spokesman, Giles Radici, called it a humiliating climb-down for Sir Keith. As many as 1,200 people are now thought to have died after the poison gas leak in Bhopal, India. More than 2,000 people are in hospital and tens of thousands have fled the disaster area. There's increasing concern that gas may have contaminated crops over a wide area. The head of the American company which made the poison gas is in India to investigate the leak. The Chief of Defence Staff in the Falklands War says the Belgrano was a threat to the British fleet. Lord Lewin told MPs that the War Cabinet was right to order the torpedo attack by HMS Conqueror. He was testifying to the Commons Foreign Affairs Select Committee who are investigating the attack. A group of churchmen of all denominations visited the miners' picket lines in Scotland today. They visited pits and a power station to see at first hand the effects of the strike. The Home Secretary has promised that police will still protect working miners after the strike. In Taiwan, a cave-in at a coal mine has trapped 96 miners 7,000 feet underground. Rescue workers have brought 2 bodies to the surface. They say they found 20 others. A gas explosion is reported to have caused the collapse at the Shansai pit near Taipei. The hijackers of a Kuwaiti plane have released 23 more hostages at Tehran airport. They've killed an American diplomat and wounded 1 other man. 80 hostages remain on board. They say they'll blow up the plane if their colleagues held in Kuwaiti jails are not released. The Princess of Wales and Mrs. Thatcher have been to a memorial service for Sir Anthony Berry. Sir Anthony was killed by the bomb at Brighton during this year's Conservative conference. He'd been MP for Enfield for 20 years and was related by marriage to the Princess. Cricket, England have beaten India in the one-day international in Pune. India made 214 for 6 in their 45 overs. After a shaky start, England won by 4 wickets. Mike Gatting made an unbeaten century to help England to their first victory of the tour. On Newsnight tonight, Sir Keith Joseph's climb-down on student grants in the House of Commons. What political price does the government have to pay to implement the tax cuts intended by the Chancellor of the Exchequer in next year's budget? Fears of cash cuts mar the 50th anniversary of the British Council. Joan Bakewell reports on the birthday celebration overshadowed by the threat of losing nearly £2 million in government funding. As the NATO Defence Ministers' Summit draws to a close, Lord Carrington assesses what's been described as the most successful and satisfactory meeting for 16 years. And with the death toll of one of the worst industrial accidents ever mounting in India, we examine the long-term effects of such a disaster and the responsibilities of multinational companies in the Third World. That's all on Newsnight at 10:40. Until then, good night.
On Radio 4 VHF at the moment, there's live coverage of the Commons Foreign Affairs Committee hearing evidence from Sir John Knott on the sinking of the Belgrano. Now here's the weather forecast. Many southern and eastern areas of England will start dull and wet, but dry weather with a little sunshine to the northwest will spread to most places by afternoon. However, the northwest of Scotland will have showers at times, and northern England will have longer spells of rain in the afternoon, and it'll be a little less mild. That's the weather forecast for tomorrow. In 5 minutes we move into Fast Forward with some more fun and frolics to free your mind. That's after Will-O the Wisp.